Hello and welcome to Awakening News. My name is Rebecca Marie. I've been teaching the material that I share here on this platform for around 5 years now, studying it for a lot longer. And I call this material the Cyberworld Order. Now, if you are alive on planet Earth right now, especially if you live in the West, you're probably noticing there's a lot of shakeup going on. There's a lot of destruction going on. There's a lot of disorder. Well, this is all intended. And the reason why is because we have to tear down an old system, an old structure, in order to bring in the new. And right now, what we're living in is the tear down of our old system, the old structure, how it worked, who all the players were, the different forms of entities such as governments, religions, um, magical practices, all of the things that have developed the civilization that you and I have been living in our entire lives, and so have your parents and your grandparents and all of that. There's been changes over time, but primarily since the 1900s to today, which is only 125 years later, we've pretty much been living in a civilization ending point that began with the building after the fall of Rome. I'm not going to get into that, but it's important for the context of what I talk about to understand that we all are familiar with this story of the fall of the Roman Empire, right? Well, at that point, the fall of the Roman Empire and the development of structures to bring about the next version of civilization, such as the Holy Roman Empire and that sort of thing, which we are living within that philosophy, that ideology still today. But with that fall, it developed throughout many, many years the civilization that then became about 400 years ago. And you can go back and you can look at the destruction that happened and the changes that happened about 400 years ago to 200 years ago. And then the 1800s, you can take a look at history. And I'm not going to get into all that. You can do that if you're interested in the 1800s to the 1900s. Well, then they were tearing down a lot of structures, rebuilt for the industrial age, the industrial revolution of the early 1900s, and then 1940. We all know that there was a great big rumble that went on there that brought us right immediately into the times that we're living in, which is the technology age, what I call the cyber world order, what the architects of this new world call the fourth industrial revolution, taking the place of the industrial revolution. Okay. And this fourth industrial revolution, this new civilization that's being birthed for the future of humanity, we are living through that inflection point right now. That's why we're seeing the old go away and be destroyed with the new coming on board. And it's evident to us. And sometimes you just need somebody to point it out to you. And that's what I do. This cyber world order that I talk about is this new structure. It is the new technological age. And at this point, years ago, when I would be teaching what we're going to be seeing coming, this is before 2022, November of 2022, when ChatGPT was introduced to the world, and most people had never even heard of the term AI. But to years ago saying, guys, this technology, this AI is going to be introduced to the population and it's going to change everyone's world. Well, since 2022, the end of 2022 to today, the beginning of 2025, AI's changed your world just a little bit, hasn't it? But back then, to be saying that thing, you kind of sounded a little cuckoo, right? What is this AI stuff? And here we are. Well, this is the concept of the cyber world order. Now, when I say cyber, I mean cybernetics. And I don't mean the the version that you can search on a search engine for the definition of cybernetics. That's not what I'm talking about. It's similar, but the intention of the cybernetics and the cyber world is far different than what you're going to get with a Google search definition or a wiki definition, the Opedia. Well, cybernetics basically is like you could call it your thermometer. You have your thermometer set, maybe it's hot in the summer and you live somewhere north, or excuse me, south of the equator, and you get a little toasty in the summer. And you turn your air conditioning on to, say, 70 degrees. And your house gets 71. Well, because your thermostat is remote controlled, it's cybernetic, it has an automated system within it, it's going to kick on to turn the temperature in your house back down to 70 degrees. The cyber world order is creating a civilization, a species of human that are remote controlled. Now, when I say these kind of things, I want to always stay with a balanced approach because everything has a good side to it and a negative side to it. Now, you and I know that the negative side is that cuts off free will. And that is a abomination to natural law. We should all be given free will, choices. Natural law just states that just do what you want to, don't do any harm to other people. Don't do harm to sentient beings. It's pretty simple. But as you can tell, we live in a civilization that does almost nothing but harm. You probably don't. I don't. But, civilization does. Society does do all kinds of things that are harmful to each other. And the cyber world order, while the remote controlled population is an a a absolutely wrong thing to do because it cuts off our free will choice. On the other hand, we've become such a species that's so irresponsible and so abhorrent to each other that it's going to seem better because civilization will be much more controlled. Therefore, we won't be doing the harm to each other. A good depiction of this is, did you guys ever see the movie Demolition Man? It was with Sylvester Stallone, and it was this city that was futuristic. The plot of the movie was that he was frozen. He was cryonically frozen. He had committed some crime, and so he was cryonically frozen. And he was unfrozen at a time when some other criminal had become thawed out and he was running amok. So Sylvester Stallone's character, he got unfrozen so that he could go catch this other villain. And it was in the future, so the whole city was this kind of like what you could see a smart city where everybody was controlled, but there was no crime. Even if they swore, said a cuss word, there would be a thing that came out of the wall that would give them a ticket for cursing. They didn't have any intimacy because they weren't allowed to hug and kiss and all of that to exchange bodily fluids because of germs. Like it was a very pristine civilization, which was on the negative side because people weren't allowed then to make choice. Do you want to make good choices? Do you want to make bad choices? Unfortunately, some of us, I know I have made a lot of very bad choices in my life. However, we learn from that, we grow from that. But that was taken away from them. But on the good side, there wasn't crime. People weren't hurting each other. They weren't murdering. They weren't raping. It wasn't even part of their thought process anymore, which is really a good thing, right? So that movie, it depicts in a good way this future version of society that's cybernetically controlled for reasons that you could say are both good and bad, right? So the cyber world order, and the reason why I am very passionate about this subject, it's been something that I saw coming for many years. And I saw it from the view that it was not a good thing. And in reality, it's not. Because what it's doing is it's taking the version of human that you and I are, that is so beautiful and so powerful. We've just been manipulated and lied to so that we give our power and authority to something outside of ourselves, to be responsible for us, to save us, to rescue us, to take care of us, right? And because we don't understand what the human is. And because it's such a short ride here, and it's a beautiful ride being human here on planet Earth, people are abdicating that humanness because it does come with flaws. It does come with things that we could consider aren't ideal, but it's just part of our experience. And this cybernetic society is created to take that from us, to make us a quote perfect version, which isn't possible, and in the end it doesn't work out that way. But we still have to go through a long time, quite a number of decades and years and all of that before we get to that point. But this is why it became so important to me to learn what is going on here. And then once I have it, I share this to those of you that are interested in understanding what's going on. Why is the world so chaotic? I know I'm not being told the truth by the mainstream media, and the alternative mainstream media has become so crazy. I just want the truth so I can go live my life and not be wondering every day what's the latest current thing, what's going on today, which is all intentional because it recreates your focus, right? And we'll get into that later, but the cyber world order and why this is so important is because you and I are making choices. Doesn't matter if we're aware of it or not, we're still making choices. And I think it's a disservice to humanity to not let us know what that choice is that we're making. This is based on a concept called manufactured consent. You see, if we're not even aware that we're making a choice between two things, well, then we can have our consent manufactured through narratives and stories and things we want to believe are true, not realizing that those things are putting us on the path of this choice. And so my material and what I help you understand is what those choices are. So you can make a free will choice. I'm giving you back your option of choosing between two paths that every person is choosing right now. Has been for a while and will continue for a while, but it's better to know this now because your world is changing. The old structure is going away. The new is already here, and it's right in front of our face. And I'm going to help make it simple for you to understand what that is. And we'll start with the basic premise of this fourth industrial revolution. Sometimes it's called the Great Reset. Sometimes it's called an evolution. That's my preference of descriptive word. And the reason why I say evolution is because all of the things that you've heard of, whether it's Agenda 2030, Great Reset, and yada yada, whatever name you want to choose, has to do with an evolution. Now, our planet goes through evolutionary cycles and stages. I don't even know how many times. The last one, this takes place every certain amount of years, but right now we're going through the next version, the next stage of this evolution. And when I talk about evolution, I'm not talking about Darwinism, okay? I'm not talking about we came from monkeys or anything like that. No, no, no. What I mean is something that is either a natural, organic, spiritual evolution, or a cybernetic, synthetic, artificial, transhuman one. We could get down to the foundation of everything that's happening on planet Earth right now, and those two paths are the foundation. What should be what humanity is going through right now, and all the flora and fauna and the animal kingdom and all of that, is this natural, organic, spiritual evolution. Natural and organic because the planet and nature is going through this as well. And us are spiritual already. You're already spiritual. You don't need a middleman to, connect you with source. You don't need anything. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. So this natural, organic, spiritual evolution should have been the natural path that we all were on. However, the cyber world order, the new world order, if you will, the Great Reset, Agenda 2030, Agenda 2040, Agenda 2050, and all the agendas in between. The idea of the fourth industrial revolution, all of it is leading civilization onto the path that is synthetic, artificial, cybernetic, and transhuman. It's taking this version of human on the natural evolutionary path that should have brought us back to more who we truly are. And instead, it's been hijacked with this counterfeit evolution, which instead of this path, it is a cybernetic new species of human, a transhuman. And there's many, many variations of that that we'll get in at another time. This is why this topic is so important to me. This is why I am taking this teaching public and not just behind a community that I used to be involved in, and giving more people the opportunity to learn this material, because this is the choices that you're making. And if you're not aware that everything you are choosing is either this path or this path, well, then your choice is being made for you through the concept of manufactured consent. And if you haven't known this and it still seems kind of science fiction to you and you need to tune in to hear a little bit more, Good. Good. That means you are one that has the potential of awakening. And when I say awakening, I'm not talking about a hierarchical structure, meaning I'm more awake than you are because I know blah, blah, blah. That's not what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you just right now, let's say I'm going to use politics as an example because that's such a big part of the conversation here in the West right now. But let's say you were always a Democrat, right? Your parents were Democrats, your grandparents were Democrats. You come from a lineage of being a Democrat. And you today are going, or you've been going, something's not right here. Something else I think is going on. Or let's say you were a Republican and same story, right? You're just a generational believer that the Republican Party is what you affiliate with. And you're starting to go, something's not right here. Something else is going on. Well, this is what I mean by congratulations. You're right. That means you're awakening. And the awakening is not a race. It's not something that we get to cross the finish line and get a trophy and a medal and a sash. I'm awakened. Woohoo, look at me. I'm better than all of you because I'm more awake than you are. No, it's not about that. It's just about recognizing that there's more to the story and having the courage to find out what that is. And when you find out more information, you have the willingness to adjust how you perceive things. Because with new information and when you find something new, you may have heard something before or done something and it totally changes your world. Well, it's the same thing with this awakening process. It's like having a veil over your eyes and somebody shows you something and completely, boom, that veil removes off your eyes. Now you see the world completely different. It's like, wow, this is so cool. I can see clearer now. I perceive the world so different now. And it can be kind of unnerving sometimes because sometimes information changes everything. When you're shown something that you cannot deny, well, it causes you to change. And that can be scary sometimes. And it can be a little, like I say, unnerving. You're like, wow, it changes things. But that's the fun part about this awakening journey is that the things that you are going to see are going to be different than the things somebody else is going to see, something I'm going to see, something somebody else is going to see, because we all have a different set of experiences that we have to learn and come to grips with, that maybe some of the things we were taught in the past weren't exactly the truth. And we have to examine those things. And upon examination, when we decide that we're going to change our life now and our perception is going to change, well, it can take time because we have to adjust to this. We now have to adjust to how we see the world so differently now. So it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if you've been in this awakening movement for 20 years or for 10 years or for 2 weeks. It doesn't matter. We are all on this journey and we're all at different places. Nobody's up here and you're down here. No, it doesn't work that way. Unless, you know, they're a cult leader, right? And they know everything, and you little lowly people, you need to listen to me because I'm the top dog in this cult. No, it doesn't need to be like that. But what I teach you is just what I have learned. And I find important to you to know if you're curious why the world's so chaotic, if you want to know why it's chaotic and where this is all leading, well, then that's what I teach. The Cyberworld Order and all the principles, I call them the mechanisms that you can see for yourself. And we'll get into that in future videos. That's it for today. I hope that you come back to other videos if you are curious. And remember this: your awakening journey is yours. Don't compare it to anybody else's. Okay? Don't compare it to anyone else's because it's yours. And this is the best ride on planet Earth right now. And it's going to get rocky. It's a wild ride. There's a lot of waves. But you can have a surfboard and ride the waves and enjoy this experience because it's going to be over. None of us are going to be here forever. Although the transhumanists like to share with the population that that's what it's about, but no, it doesn't work like that. Everybody's going to have to find that out eventually, that no, you're not going to live forever. Maybe a machine can go on, not forever, but a machine can go on, but not the human. And I'm on Team Human 1.0. I don't think Human 2.0 is the enemy because they have free will choice to choose that direction if that's the way they want to go. We're going to have to learn to live with each other because humanity is branching off into different versions. However, I love this version of human. I think we are amazing. And that's the primary message that I really want to get across, is for you to discover who you truly are so you can live a beautiful life. Now I'm going to end. We'll see y'all on the next video.